All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Game is the Game podcast. I'm here as always with my bro Eric. We're going to go ahead and break down the Western Conference playoffs, where we're at so far. I would just definitely think everybody that's been watching definitely hit subscribe. We're going to hit you guys with videos every day. And we're going to go ahead and start breaking down every NBA team. We have enough of the teams that are falling out of the playoffs right now. So we're going to do our good, the bad, the ugly on every NBA team. Break it down with a team that's fallen out of the playoffs recently and a couple teams that haven't made it. So look out for that as well. And then go ahead and start breaking down the conference semifinals. So let's go ahead and get started on the Western Conference. I think the best place to start is with the Lakers and the Suns. This was a series. I'll go ahead and kick it off that I thought that was completely over. I put big money down on the Lakers. I thought this series was over. They were up 10. And I honestly, I stopped watching. I went on a walk and I came back and I saw that they were down 4 at halftime. And then when the second half started, I saw that Anthony Davis was hurt. He hurt his groin. Those injuries I've read anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, maybe day to day. That's what the Lakers are describing them as. If it's in the 2 to 4 week span, a more serious groin pull, that's going to keep them out to the conference finals if they get to that far. And I think they're in a real fight now with the Suns. Eric, what do you think is going on with this? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a series now, and I obviously think it's a series where you have to like the Suns now. If Anthony Davis is gone for any extended period of time, and you're asking now the Lakers front court to lean on Gasol, Drummond, and Montrezl Harrell. That's obviously a big win for DeAndre Ayton and Jay Crowder and Dario Saric. So I think that the series will now favor Phoenix. I think that as the series goes on, the more time the series extends, uh, the more of an opportunity for Chris Paul to not necessarily get back 100% healthy, because I don't think that's going to happen, but he's going to get closer to being right. Um, and that ultimately is a negative for the Lakers. So I think that you have to, moving forward, you have to like Phoenix now. Phoenix regained home court. And like I said, when you talk about Anthony Davis being out, you have to ask yourself, where's their offense going to come from when LeBron James is not on the court?
So as far as tactical decisions that the Lakers need to make, I think that one of them is that they've played too many guys. They've shortened the rotation. They took Montrezl Harrell out of the rotation, THT out of the rotation. I think that both of those guys actually have to come back into the rotation now with Anthony Davis being out. I'm a big fan of Wesley Matthews. To me, in my recollection, he was the first guy that I described as a 3-and-D guy. I think he might be the original guy with that moniker, the 3-and-D moniker. But I do think that, all good things come to an end. And defensively, he's not the same. And offensively, he's just not making his shot. So I do think now, especially now that Anthony Davis is out, you need the playmaking of a THT in the game. I was reading actually today that Drummond, his signing with the Lakers is not just a one-year rental thing. The franchise is actually looking to move forward with him as their center of the present and future. So that
As well.
that kind of makes sense why he's played extended minutes and why they've rolled with him in stretches where he's played bad, because they're actually investing in him. But I do think now, especially once again with Anthony Davis being out, I think Ayton won those minutes when the both of them were on the floor together. I think Drummond had a really good game, but he was buttressed with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis could take a lot of the responsibility of guarding Ayton and Ayton guarding him. Now it's a one-on-one with Drummond and Ayton. You have to love that matchup for Ayton. So I do think you have to play more Marcus Gasol. When they were down about 15, 18 and they made that run, it was with Marcus Gasol in and him shooting threes, him making passes at three-point land to guys doing back cuts and things of that nature. I think you're going to need more of that in your offense. I think that Montrezl Harrell is going to actually have to play more now. His pick and roll game, his dive game with LeBron is key. And then LeBron, I think he's going to have to be more aggressive, more assertive. One player that's really disappointed me is Kuzma. He's not been someone that they can count on his shot. I think he's 4 13 from 2 point line, 3 of 16 from three. So he hasn't made any shots. So, like you said, where the offense is going to come from, I think they definitely have to play Hero more. They have to play THT more. I think this is going to lead to less Drummond minutes and
Yeah,
less Wesley Matthews minutes.
and I would agree with some of that, but my biggest thing is where's Dennis Schrader at?
Yeah, he
Where,
hasn't played well. He hasn't played well,
where's
and
Dennis? He's one of their key free agency additions in the offseason. Obviously, they made the trade for him, and they had this expectation that he was going to obviously be their third best player. And just where is he? You expect that he would be able to change the pace of the game and give them offense and give them the guy that can allow the team to get up and down the floor and get easy baskets because of his quickness and his playmaking in the open court, and he just hasn't done that. So it just kind of, I think they're also lacking that. Dennis Schrader. I think that Schrader obviously can be that kind of player that can give you 19 to 25 and help you win a game 4, game 5. But he just hasn't played like that. So
yeah, he hasn't played well since he got knocked out with the COVID. This is a contract year for him. He turned down an extension that the Lakers offered him. He's looking for upwards of 25 to 30 million. He obviously has not played that well so far. So I remember after game one, we were talking about, this series really defines we talk about with the Harden trade or no trade for Miami. The Lakers were one of the teams that were in the Kyle Lowry sweepstakes. How would they be playing now with the Kyle Lowry? I mean, the guy's just, I love Kyle Lowry. If you swap Kyle Lowry for the Schroeder spot, his shooting, his defense. So, yeah, Schroeder, he's another guy that's definitely going to have to pick it up. On the Phoenix Suns side, Aiden, he's played well. He's played dominant. Like I said, he dominated those minutes with him versus Drummond. He didn't dominate as much versus Gasol, but he was dominating those minutes there. He won those. And Chris Paul, this is the healthiest he's looked since game one. Played really well. You can see he wanted it really badly. So it's incumbent on the Suns. I think the winner of this series probably wins the West if I had to make a pick. So the Suns,
yeah,
if they want this series, they have to win. They have to win this game.
they have to. Jay Crowder has to pick up his shooting. I think that for them to realistically win the series, even with Anthony Davis being out, if he's out for let's say the rest of the series, he doesn't play any games the rest of the series. I think Jay Crowder has to pick up his shooting. Chris Paul obviously has to continue to be better. I think that he played well last game. Obviously, that has to do with his shoulder feeling better. But I would say that's two of the key things. I mean, Chris Paul has to step up his play, and Jay Crowder has to make shots. When Jay Crowder's not making shots, their offense is hurting, is lacking because he's going to get those open looks consistently, and if he's not making them, then he just hurts their offense. And, I mean, we kind of know that Jay Crowder's an up and down shooter. He's been like that his whole career. When you look back last year in the bubble, that Miami versus Bucks series, he couldn't miss. He literally could not miss. He was literally on fire compared to this series where he just really hasn't made any shots. So, Phoenix has to take advantage of, Anthony Davis missing game 5. I don't think he'll play game 5. And they're going to have to use that energy of the home court, and they're going to have to make shots. They're going to get open looks, and they're going to have to make shots. They're going to have to take advantage of them. And lastly, I would say the important thing in Game 5 is they cannot, allow LeBron to take over the game. And I think that that's obviously what LeBron's going to kind of try to do. Knowing LeBron, watching him for most of his career in games like this, where the team is down a player. Or the team is in a hole. If you go back and you look at the 2012 game 6, or you look at 2015 game 4 with Kyrie being out against Chicago on the road, in these kind of games, he always tries to make an imprint. He tries to take over the game. He tries to dominate the game. Phoenix cannot allow him to do that. He cannot allow him to do that. You
Yeah,
cannot allow him to do that.
he attacked a lot more towards the end of the fourth quarter, and I think he's been slow rolling this a little bit to let his ankle heal, but obviously he doesn't have that leeway anymore. Their backs against the wall, and um, you know uh, a lot of the teams that played in the bubble and they went late, they're kind of sputtering out. It looks like the Celtics are one loss away from being out. The Heat have been swept already. And Denver has had injuries, and we'll talk about Denver pretty soon. But they're just gonna the Lakers just have to find a way if they want to win this title and get through this. They definitely I don't think they can lose this game 5 in Phoenix. So we'll definitely see what happens with that. We can go ahead and move to the next LA series, the the Clippers versus the Mavericks. So the Clippers started up 2-2. I think we both texted early first quarter. After I believe it was even after game 3, we thought the series was over and that the Clippers had now taken it over and won it. And I heard Charles Barkley say that at halftime of the last game. And I don't think it really has to do much with Luka's injury. I do think that this is the type of injury that I read the Pro Football Doc. Shout out to the Pro Football Doc on Twitter. He talks about injuries that it's not an injury that he thinks is going to get significantly better throughout the series. So you have to factor that in. And the Clippers are a front-running team. They've made shots. They've made shots pretty much this whole series. It was just a matter of defense, and they cleaned up a lot of the things defensively. And Tim Hardaway Jr., he's not making all the shots that he was.
Obviously, the Clippers have cleaned up their defense, but let's just be honest. Dallas has regressed to the mean. Before the series started, I told everyone that Dallas's roster isn't good, and I think that these last 2 games they have regressed back to the mean. Their roster is not very good. Outside of Luka, outside of Jalen Brunson, who can you rely on that roster to consistently make shots? I would say Tim Hardaway, but outside of those 3, who can you rely and hang your hat on and say, okay, this is who we have. These are our others. And I just don't. They're just, to me, like I said at the beginning of the series, even though they won the first 2 games, I thought the Clippers were dead in the water just because of them being down 2-0, losing the first 2 games at home. And I thought me and you both agreed that Dallas was gonna lose game 3. And I thought Dallas would, the game would be close game 4, and they'll find some way to pull out that game. But it just, like I said, Dallas's roster isn't very good. Finney Smith hasn't made shots. Tim Hardaway has lost his shot the last 2 games. Porzingis, I'm going to defer to you before I say anything about him. But their roster just isn't very good.
Yeah, the roster isn't very good. Porzingis, I know that you were calling him out after game 3. Where is he? And my response to you was, if you look up, some of his career highlights when he was a Knick, if you see where he's getting those shots and where he's getting those touches, they're just not in the same place. The flow of their offense, the way that the Mavericks want to play is with 4 shooters out and Luka pretty much in the Harden role. The way that Houston plays, not so much yo-yo dribbling, but I've always compared the two. I think they're the better comp than LeBron, and I think that that style of offense, the way that Luka plays, and the way that Dallas wants to play, just neutralizes him and takes him out of the game. He's a guy that attacked from the high post and sprinkled in threes, systematically, but not someone who just stood at the 3-point line. And he played better game 4, but I just don't like the way that the offense uses him. That's something that we're probably going to have to talk about going forward, because like I said, I think that I believe for all intensive purposes this series
and I get that, and I see that with Luka, and I don't disagree with the statement that you're making, but my thing is, when Luka is off the floor and you are supposed to be the number 1 player, I think that one thing that I like that Shaq talks about all of the time is that when you're a big man, and obviously Porzingis is not a natural center, obviously he's a bigger guy, but you have to demand the balls in the area that you like. You have to go and be aggressive and demand the ball where you're most comfortable for it at. So I just can't always give him the excuse of, you're not being used in the context of the offense that really suits your game. My thing is, when Luka's off the floor and you're supposed to be the best player on the floor, why are you not demanding the ball in areas that you like? Why are you still sitting in the corner waiting waiting to be given an open corner three?
But
Why
but
are
but
you
but
not
you have
going
to
after?
understand is that the team has said that that's not the way that they want to play. Remember, Rick Carlisle and the NBA and TNT guys got into a spat about not posting him and not letting him attack, and him saying that the post up is a dead shot in this league. So you have to understand that, and Mark Cuban even said that Luka and Porzingis have beef,
Mhm.
and they're not the greatest of friends off the court. And why would that be? That would be because of style of play. Porzingis is used to playing one way his whole life, and he's come on this team and they've asked him to do the complete different thing. And I think that affects everything. If you're not getting the touches that you used to, you're not going to be want to defend as much as you used to. Like
Yeah, I no, you're 100% right. I just, like I said, to me, how I see it is, okay, when I am on the floor and I'm the best player, this is where I want the ball at. This is where I'm demanding the ball at. And I think ultimately, if your teammates know and view you as that kind of player, obviously I'm not in Dallas's locker room, so I can't say, oh yes, they view him as that kind of player. But if they feel you as they view you as an elite player, I think that you would be able to get the ball where you want the ball. You'll be able to get those kind of shots where you want to take those shots. Obviously, that's not the context of their offense, and that's not what the coach wants to do. But sometimes, like I said, like Shaq would say, you have to go and demand the ball in the areas that you're comfortable. That's
Yeah,
just
I understand. I understand, but I just think that sometimes he might just be in the point like, fuck it, they don't want to give me the ball or give me the ball, I'll do whatever they ask me to do then. I don't want to argue and be combative and be labeled as a troublemaker, so I'll just do what they ask me to do. And he might just be pounding about it. I can tell by his body language he's unhappy. So, going forward, I don't know what that portends for the thing. Like just reading this article by the Pro Football Duck again, it doesn't sound like this is an injury that's going to fix itself overnight for the Mavericks. So, I think even if Luka was healthy, they had their chance to really put them away game three in that first half when they had them down 20-4, 30-11, and they let them back in. Let them close the half within five, and it was in the second half that Luka that injury started to really affect him. But I think that it shouldn't have even gotten to that point. They should have put their foots on the net game three when they had them down by that big lead, letting them get back.
you don't let them come back when you're
Yeah,
up 19, you're up 2-0. You
yeah.
you got to use the energy of the crowd, and you have to finish them. You
You
got
have
to
to
put them
bury
away.
them, and
Got
they
to
didn't
put them
do that.
away. You got to put them away. That game, you put them away, they don't show up for game four. They don't.
Yeah,
They don't. They don't show up for game four. You win in a rout in game four. And even if they do win game four, you still win that series.
yeah,
But to let them come back and tie it up 2-2, I think that this is the Clippers series. I think the Clippers are confident. If you look at that blowout that took place in game four, I think the Clippers woke up and realized, man, we're better than them. We're not,
yeah,
this is okay. It's okay. Everyone calm down, relax. It's 2-2. We're going to go home and we're going to blow you out again. And we're going to come back game six and we're going to beat you on your court. I don't think the Clippers are going to let them win another game. I honestly think the series is over.
yeah. I think they don't let them win another game, and I don't think another game is going to be close. When you look at the Clipper side of the thing, I think it was after first quarter of game three, after Luka hit him with I think two or three step back threes. They took Zubac out. They played that lineup that we've talked about, going small, and not with Reggie Jackson starting instead of who's a bigger guard. He's about 6'3", 6'4". And been switchable. They've cleaned up their mistakes in the back line. Kawhi has been dominant. Now, take it, he's being guarded by Maxi Kleber, but he's dominated that matchup. Shot 13 of 17 the other night, 40 something odd points. I think he's averaging 37 odd points this series. So he's dominated. Playoff P is playing well too. So
Yeah. Shout out to Paul George.
yeah, shout out to Paul George. And so they're playing, and then Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris, they're hitting shots as well. So I just think that this is way too much for them to overcome. And I think that the Clippers definitely have the series. And when you have somebody down like this in the league, you got to step on their necks. And the Mavericks didn't. And I think the series has turned.
And shout out to the Clippers because being down 2-0 after everything that has happened in the last year with Paul George and the bubble and um, you know everything that's been said about them and the firing of Doc and everything, and for them to be down 2-0 and to be down 19 in the first quarter and really fight and rally back shows some mental toughness on their part. So give them their kudos to that because I doubt anyone thought that they had that kind of run in them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, definitely, you got to give them their due on that. We'll go ahead and touch the other two series. I think the intrigue in the Memphis Utah series is just basically the play of John Morant. He's played well. He looks like a bona fide superstar. So I think this is more in the good, the bad, the ugly season breakdown after they get eliminated. But the talk now is, can they get someone to pair with him? Triple J, he's been hurt, not really doing anything in this series. I think they had an opportunity to win game three. It's just a lot of sloppy play at the end, and it was tied, I think, with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then next thing you know, they were down 10. But yeah, I think the real question to me that's being answered as far as Memphis is John Moran a superstar? And the answer is yes. He just needs to continue to work on that jumper, but he's definitely working on the floater game, and these reps are not going to do anything but help him. On the Utah side is Donovan Mitchell. He's looked very good. He's played extremely well. His first game back, I was surprised by how explosive he was, how coordinated he was, his lack of turnovers. He looks like he's smooth. Some players, it doesn't take them that much time to get back in the rhythm after an injury. They're just back at it, and he looks like he might be one of those players.
Yeah, shout out to Utah because I'll be honest with you. I've been saying all season that Utah was fool's gold. Not to say that I thought Memphis was going to beat them in this series and Memphis was going to outplay them, but I always, if you talk to anybody that asked me about the Utah Jazz, I say Utah's fool's gold. But shout out to them for taking over the series and playing extremely well and being the superior opponent, the clear superior opponent in the last two games. But like you said, this is kind of a fill out for Memphis. It's obviously their first time in the playoffs with John Morant and their young squad and Dylan Brooks. So the expectation for them is not really high. I think this is just a growing thing for them. Uh, they will be back, and their younger players will obviously develop and get better. But it's all about what can they add. Do they believe Jaren Jackson can be their second best player on a contender? That's really the question that you have to ask yourself. Can Jaren Jackson be that player? And if he's not, they have to start looking elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a great team. They have a lot of young players that I like. Melton, Bain. I love Dylan Brooks. I love his game. So it's no. Memphis has nothing to be ashamed about losing this series. I just like that Utah has, looked like the superior opponent. So moving forward, when you talk about that Clippers Dallas series, when if the Clippers do advance, I think that's a serious opponent for the Clippers, the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, if I mean, we'll break it down if that gets to the point. It looks like that is going to be the series, but I'm leaning Utah. I have to really look at it and think about it, but I think I'm leaning Utah from the advantages that it gives. The teams that have really taken advantage of Utah in prior postseasons are teams that have pick and roll mavens, guys that really can run that pick and roll and stress Gobert and make him make decisions. That's just not the Clippers game. They play a lot of ISO, a lot of one-on-one, and that's right up Gobert's alley. So in Utah, they if they play the cards right, I could definitely see them in the Western Conference Finals. So that would
it's interesting, and I think that it's perfect that Donovan Mitchell came back when he did, so he can get his legs under him and get his rhythm under him. So it's kind of perfect that he came back the time he did. But the Utah Memphis series, like I said, shout out to Memphis. I like Memphis. I like what they're doing over there. There's no shame in losing this series. This is their first time in the playoffs with their young core, their young squad going up against a team that was dominant the whole regular season. Even though I said they were fool's gold, Utah is playoff tested. Uh, they have a lot of good players over there. Mike Conley's playoff tested. Donovan Mitchell's playoff tested. So there's no shame in Memphis losing this series.
No, not at all. Not at all. This is definitely a learning experience for them. And then we'll go ahead and touch the last series, Denver versus Portland. This looks like it's going to go to 7. I thought that this was a series that Portland should win easily. We'll see if they take care of business game 5, but just offensively, the matchups just favor them. There's a lot that has to go has to happen with Denver for them just to muster the points. Now I saw that Will Barton practiced today, so maybe if this series goes to 7, he could definitely come back, or maybe he's back game 6. But just their dearth of talent on the perimeter, I think that this should bode well for Portland. Denver has shot the ball extremely well from 3 in this series, in the games of this series that they've won. But once again, this is a team that's just uber talented. They should be able to win this series. And once again, this is a big series for Portland. They've talked about breaking it up, firing the coach, moving on from the GM, breaking up the team. So I think that definitely happens if they lose round 1. If they lose to this team without Jamal Murray, that definitely happens. So this is a big series for them. They took care of business game 4. I think that they should win this series. Once again, the talent just favors them, but we'll see. What were your thoughts on game 4?
I think that anyone that knows me obviously knows who I'm going to pick. There's no secret there. You know who I'm picking. I'm picking Denver. Denver's looked like the better team. Obviously, Portland routed them in game 4. But if you had to ask me, if you had to put a gun to my head and say, hey, Eric, we're going to have a short series, a 3-game series, Portland and Denver, the best out of 3 with everything that I've saw, and Joker being the MVP and Will Barton potentially coming back, and 2 of those games at home are going to be for Denver. I'm going to pick Denver, and I'm going to just pick Denver based on that. I don't think Portland is that good, and it's shown in that series. Obviously, with the injuries that Denver has in their backcourt, you would think that the series would extremely favor Portland, but this series is 2-2, and outside of game 4, Denver has looked like the better team the first 3 games. Mm-mm. So you have to ask yourself, is game 4 an anomaly, or has Portland figured it out? Have they figured the riddle out? But to me, when it takes you 4 games in to figure it out, I don't necessarily think you figured it out. I think it's an anomaly. So we'll see. But like I said, I'm strictly picking Denver on the basis that Denver has 2 of the 3 games at home, and Denver has the Joker, and Will Barton's coming back, and 2 of the games are at home. So I think that the series is going to go 7, and I think that neither team will win on the road.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what happens in that, especially what's going on the other side of the bracket with Lakers and the Suns. This is an opportunity for both of these teams to potentially get a hobbled Suns or a hobbled Lakers team in the second round. So we'll definitely see what happens. Once again, I think a lot of the pressure is on Portland. This is a series with the guys that Denver has hurt.
All the pressure you have to assume all the pressure is on Portland, because no one expects Denver to be anything without Jamal Murray. So I think all of the pressure is on Dame, CJ, and Nurkic. All the pressure is on them. If they lose, this would be, not for me at least, what wouldn't be out of the ordinary, because they've lost a lot in the first round. But it's just the truth. They've lost a lot in the first round. So this wouldn't be out of the ordinary for me, but this would, I think everyone would be on the hot seat outside of Damian Lillard. Everybody's on the hot seat. Everybody, I think, on the roster would be available. I think Terry Stotts would be gone. Everyone would be on the hot seat outside of Damian Lillard. And if you're Portland, if you're that front office, you have to pray that Damian Lillard doesn't walk in and say, I want to be traded.
Yeah, I don't know. Once again, this is a big offseason for them, but we'll see. I think that they should have the advantage. They should pull it out, but we'll definitely see. So we'll go ahead and leave it there. That's the Western Conference breakdown. We're going to go ahead and do the Eastern Conference breakdown, so look out for that video. Definitely hit subscribe. If you have any comments, definitely leave comments. Thank you for all the people that have subscribed. Thank you for the people that watched this last 2 videos. We're going to be pumping out more content, so definitely tune in. We enjoy doing this for you. Look out for the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to start breaking down every team's off season, what goes forward for them, and we'll go ahead and start with those conference breakdowns pretty soon here. So check your boys out. Thank you for listening. We'll get back to you guys soon.